Shocking scenes occurred today as the Hasbro factory burns to the ground. Fire officials fear that the man seen breaking into the premises may have been consumed in the flames. Hello, Marvel Legends. Today we're going to take a look at a very different type of horror. Not one based on demons, monsters, and things that go bump in the night, but instead something all too real. Man's inhumanity towards his fellow man. You see, we all know when the Punisher was first created. Was it that fateful day when his family were gunned down before him? Perhaps not. Perhaps the seeds were sown long, long ago, when Frank Castle was in Vietnam. Today we look at the Garth Ennis story, Punisher, Born. Born documents Frank Castle's time serving as a captain in the United States Marine Corps during his final tour in Vietnam in 1971. The story is told primarily through the eyes of Stevie Goodwin, a young Marine counting down the days of his service, and, of course, Frank Castle, a tough captain with a finely honed killer instinct and survival skills, who is described as being in love with war. The story chronicles a crucial 4-day period of the platoon stationed at Firebase Valley Forge, a remote strategic outpost on the South Vietnamese-Cambodian border. Valley Forge is an outpost on its last legs. Half of its Marines are addicted to heroin, and its commanding officer is an apathetic alcoholic who pretends to have malaria whenever someone comes to inspect the base. Goodwin simply wishes to return home safely, and realizes that sticking close to Frank Castle is his best option. Castle, despite being at home in the jungle, maintains an internal dialogue with a voice that continually goads Castle into justifying his endless thirst for combat. We've all heard that voice before. It's the same one that tells us to continuously buy Marvel Legends that we probably don't need. But we do. Oh, we do. Castle receives news that Valley Forge will be abandoned amidst increasing opposition to the war on the home front. Castle is displayed as exceptionally ruthless. First, he tricks a visiting general into wandering into sniper fire for threatening to close down the base. Then, he drowns a member of his platoon who raped a female Viet Cong sniper. Castle himself killed the sniper while she was being assaulted. Though this may have seemed brutal, another character grimly reflects that his action was the only way she could have been helped, as she would have never survived captivity. Despite the news that the Firebase will soon be closed, Castle continues leading a squad on routine patrols, though his men are thinned by sporadic ambushes by the Viet Cong. By the 4th day, the attrition has left the outpost severely undermanned and outgunned. When night falls, bringing with it a hellish downpour, the Viet Cong and elements of the North Vietnamese army attack the fortification, using the rain to shield themselves from air cover. One by one, Castle's unit drops, and he finds himself surrounded and running out of ammunition for a gun about to burn out from overuse. The voice in his head becomes louder and louder until it can be heard over the scream of the storm and the roar of the gunshots. It offers Castle the strength and stamina needed to survive, to maintain an eternal state of vigilance, and to wage a permanent war. But as all things do, this will come at a price. Finally, Castle gives in. The next morning, the air support has returned with an evac helicopter to the destroyed encampment, but are horrified to find Castle standing alone in a field of mutilated and broken VC bodies. He has suffered severe physical trauma and is bleeding from several gunshot wounds, but remains unaffected. The only sight more horrifying than the mountain of bodies is the look of anger, rage, and desperation still in the eyes of Frank Castle. In the next scene, Frank Castle returns home, a decorated officer on a crutch, to his waiting wife, Maria, and their children. In the midst of the smiling return, the internal voice speaks again of the price of Castle's choice. It is exactly what Castle's eternal war will cost him, as a picture details Castle's family in a signature reticle reminiscent of the Punisher's skull icon. The voice goes on to say that both it and Castle are in the same business, though it has been at it for much longer, and that Castle will keep it busy. Horrified, Castle embraces his smiling wife and children, unaware that it will be one of the few opportunities he will ever have to do so. That was Punisher Born, and it was a fun take on the Punisher origin mythos, showing us exactly what kind of mindset Frank Castle left the jungles of Vietnam with, and giving an ambiguous notion as to how exactly the mindset of the Punisher was formed. You see, sometimes these stories are rather interesting when given a more supernatural take, but never fully committing to the notion that this was what occurred, leaving that entirely up to you, dear reader. Was the Punisher born on that fateful day when his family were gunned down? Or did he unknowingly make a deal with a far more malevolent force? You see, Frank Castle, when you dance with the devil, you wait for the song to stop. Know what I mean? Until next time, Marvel Legends, keep displaying horrific behavior.